Hey everyone, we are back with our weekly podcast where we go over our hot topics in the NFL. We are the Football Tailgaters. With me today I have Yams, our Jets fan, Andy, our unbiased NFL fan, and myself, Aaron, a Cowboys fan. We've got a few things to talk about with Jimmy G today and his situation with the Raiders in this offseason. We'll talk about also Tom Brady. He's in our topics for today. We also got Hopkins recently being released by the Cardinals. And we also got some maybe talks about an expansion going on in the league. There's talks about it. And also we'll talk a little bit about the Denver Broncos and the Russell Wilson situation. So why don't we start with Jimmy G? So it came out that he did not pass the Raiders physical. And there's some talks about his contract and stuff, but that will be like something right after we talk about this. But what are your thoughts on Jimmy Garoppolo not passing the Raiders physical?
You know, he just came off an injury, and what I find strange is the Raiders not drafting a quarterback knowing that Jimmy G is Jimmy Glass. That's what the G stands for, and might not last during the season, or at this case, even off the season.
Yeah, he was injured last season, and the 49ers were hopeful that he can maybe play in the playoffs if they went too deep in the playoffs, and it just didn't work out. And it seems like, I don't even understand what it is, like a cleanup in his ankle. It's something like that. But yeah, for me, it just doesn't surprise me how the Raiders are just working things out with their quarterback situation. Letting Derek Carr leave was a huge mistake.
I do agree on the whole Derek Carr situation, but there's maybe too much going on there that it was not fixable for Derek Carr and the Raiders, so it's good that they moved on from him. But Derek Carr is a good quarterback. So the whole Jimmy G situation, it's something about his foot and like having like a metal piece in it that was affected in his contract too, because instead of getting a bonus, that bonus gets shifted over to his base salary this coming season. So that does affect him, and it's kind of the Raiders playing it safe here, because also we're talking about later right now here in a bit with his waiver being added into this contract because of the injury he got on the foot. So what do you guys think about this waiver that was added that says, basically this waiver says, without getting too complicated, says that if Jimmy does not pass his physical, the Raiders don't have to pay him a single penny and can release him without any consequence as long as it's related to the waiver. Now, if Jimmy does pass his physical, it's at least and has at least one game, plays one regular season game and does not like re-injure his foot, the waiver is completely wiped off. So what are your guys' thoughts on the Raiders adding this waiver to his contract?
That's the only smart business decision that the Raiders actually pulled off with this contract situation, just to protect themselves in case Jimmy G can't go, and then you don't have to pay him any bonuses or any signing bonuses. So it's a smart plan for their end. But at the end of the day, what quarterback do they have now if that doesn't work out? That's my question.
Yeah, them adding the waiver, obviously they might have heard there's something going on with his injury or his recovery. So yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense why they added this waiver, especially because he just came off one not too long ago.
It's a total safe bet and good for the Raiders, because if it does work out, it's a win-win here. But if it doesn't, obviously, they get off scot-free. They don't have to pay this guy a single penny. So it sucks for Jimmy Garoppolo, but he seems confident in the situation. He seems like he will pass his physical. So maybe it's not as dark as it seems for that team. Now,
yeah, it's just very unfortunate that you have such great talent as Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, and you're just wasting their time basically, because who are you gonna like play as quarterback? Brian Hoyer? Like, give me a break.
Yeah, besides him passing the physical, they have to see how, if he doesn't get injured in the season, they need to have a good backup, and it doesn't seem like they have it.
Okay, so in the desperation of the Raiders losing Jimmy Garoppolo, he gets cut, right? What about the idea of the part owner of the Raiders, Tom Brady, coming back and taking the reins of the starting position of the quarterback position, of the Raiders? What are your guys' thoughts of him possibly coming back?
Yeah, well, it's really hard for that to happen, because what we were reading is that the NFL owners have to all come together and approve him. Let me say it again. The NFL owners have to approve Tom Brady to play again as a player and be part owner of the Raiders. So that makes it very difficult for him to come back and play.
It's a desperate spin on the Raiders having a quarterback, having their owner or part owner, Tom Brady, come play to be their quarterback. It's not going to happen. He's not coming back. He's retired. It's the end of Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean, you guys pretty much said it. Your guys' opinions was all that could be said about this situation. I really don't see him coming back. This is just, it's over. It's done. Like,
yeah, pure media talk.
Yeah. If there's like a little talk about him coming back, it's the craziest thing. And to me, it's just stupid at this point, honestly.
Yeah, because what owner is going to approve this? I don't want Tom Brady to come back and just make it more harder for my team to not be able to win the Super Bowl. Like, no.
Yeah, right. Now let's shift on over to Hopkins. He got released by the Cardinals a couple days ago. And now he can pick any team he wants. There's a lot of talks from all kinds of teams. Where does he fit best? What are you guys' thoughts on Hopkins being released by the Cardinals?
Well, that organization has just been a mess, since, they got a new GM after the GM debacle they had. And it just never worked out. That place never worked out for him. He had a suspension. He had never had an opportunity with Kyler Murray. He had injuries of himself. The quarterback has issues with himself and the coach and the organization. So I guess it's just for a fresh start for him.
Yeah, like you said, the Cardinals are a mess of an organization. Even the players, the NFL players, give them a bad grade with the facilities that they have to pay for their own lunches. Like, it's just not a good place to play for. I'm really shocked that no team was able to trade for Hopkins. I don't know if it's something that I'm not seeing, but I still consider Hopkins like a top 5 wide receiver. So whichever NFL team that picks him up is just going to be a huge upgrade for them.
Now, it's interesting to me because how does this make the whole Hopkins trade between Houston and the Cardinals? Now, it's still a horrible trade, right? They didn't get what I think they deserved. But look, now he's free and, there's a whole lot of teams that are up for grabs here. And who knows what he wants. He's had a lot of talks on podcasts and stuff like that on what he wants in a team right now. He wants a quarterback with good leadership. He wants a great defense. He wants a stable management. It could be really any team. I don't know. It's just the Cardinals here not being able to do anything special with getting something back from I don't know, any teams that were desperate in getting him. It's just a dumb move, but the Cardinals have to do what they have to do at this point. There's a whole mess going on in there, and I think they just want to get rid of a lot of things. And it just goes in question, what's going to happen with Kyler Murray? What's going on here?
Yeah, it seems like the Cardinals just have a complete reset that they're trying to do, but they still have lingering things going on with their team. They just got a new head coach, but there's some players that want to leave. We don't know the situation with Kyler Murray there, that they had to put in his contract that he needs to study more. It just seems like it's a complete
Didn't
mess.
that happen last offseason
Yeah,
too?
that's what happened in the last offseason, and I'm just repeating what happened of how of a dysfunctional organization it is. And now you let one of the best wide receivers of the NFL leave, and you didn't get any compensation. When you and I were talking about the Amari Cooper trade of Dallas Cowboys to the Cleveland Browns, and we were super surprised that they only got a 5th round pick for him. Imagine just letting Hopkins leave without any type of compensation. That's super surprising.
Yeah, and it definitely makes something like that a situation look better. And I think it's just dumber to release him. I'd rather get something back, right? What happened there?
Yeah, anything. A 7th round pick, dude. Just get something out of it.
When healthy, this guy's a top 3 wide receiver. So I don't know what they're doing in that organization, but clearly they're trying to do some very desperate. I don't know. I really don't know what they're doing. It's just so questionable.
And Hopkins is a really good caliber wide receiver. He's the type of wide receiver that wants to win.
The thing is, his injuries, and last season he got suspended a couple games. So as long as he stays healthy, he's a top 3 wide receiver.
Well,
but
wasn't he suspended for what was it, for performance enhancements, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah, and for like
Yeah.
6 or 8 games.
Yeah, and it was like a mistake that he was saying that there was some type of ingredient.
Well, they
that
all
shouldn't
say
be-
that.
No, right. But my point here is that it's not like a huge, like, it's not a personality issue. He's not making trouble. He was just trying to get better,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
He's a real big time top caliber wide receiver. And we haven't seen his talent so much because of the suspension and because of dysfunctional of that offense that the Cardinals have.
So where do you guys think, what team should sign DeAndre Hopkins?
Well, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I could kind of see him reuniting with his old quarterback, Deshaun Watson, with Cleveland. But the best place for him to land is obviously with the Chiefs. I don't know what the cap space situation with the Chiefs, if they can afford him, but
They're
that
dead last.
that would be the best place. And then maybe the second one, because they're kind of, I think they're doing well. They're going to do good this next season. It's the Bears.
I agree with you with the Chiefs just because he wants to play for a team that like has a great quarterback, and I mean it's Patrick Mahomes. He's like the best quarterback in the league right now, and that team can also go ahead and win another Super Bowl. So if he's okay with not taking that much of money, which he has said that he's very flexible with his money, with his next contract, then the Chiefs is like the main place that he should go to. I do disagree with you with the Bears because of the quarterback situation. I do not see Fields throwing the ball too well as of this moment. Maybe next season he will. I think of another team that is coming up and might get better is the Pittsburgh Steelers for Hopkins to go to. They do have Kenny Pickett, and he looks like he's getting better. And if you add that wide receiver into that offense, I think it just puts him into a higher level.
He is 30 years old. I don't think he's going to have that patience to be with a young developing team. I don't think Pittsburgh Steelers is going to be the way to go for him. I think the obvious answer for a lot of people, if he really wants a Super Bowl ring, he's going to have to go to the Kansas City Chiefs and take that pay cut. Otherwise, other teams pop up. Plenty of other teams. He could be with the stacked wide receiver core like the Chargers. He could maybe go with someone that needs a wide receiver but has everything else solidified like the Ravens. We could see maybe almost like I would say of like I want the best quarterback I can get possibly, and with the Jets, right? There's a whole bunch of options here. We can even see them with the Bills. So there's odds here that pop up here from a post that I see here from it says from PointsBet. It's a sports book here. It says the best odds right now for Hopkins to land on with a team here is the Chiefs, and then it goes the Bills, and then it goes the Jets, Ravens, Chargers, Cowboys, Lions, Patriots, Eagles, Jaguars, Browns. So he could go anywhere. He really could go anywhere. But the obvious answer here for I think a lot of us is the Chiefs.
He has had some connections with the Dallas Cowboys recently, but I do not hear anything from the Dallas Cowboys camp that they're interested in DeAndre Hopkins, even though for me it's just the most obvious situation for the Cowboys to get. You need a veteran wide receiver to help that offense, and getting just Brandon Cooks doesn't make you into a Super Bowl type of offense.
He also goes on and like sometimes posts like Instagram stories and stuff like that. And he was at some point like a couple of days ago, he was with the Houston Texans. So I don't know. He could. It's. I don't know why he was there. Maybe it's just because he knows some people there, and I don't know, some relationships going on there, or maybe he's trying to sign there, or that's one of his options. He's just weighing his options. It could be anywhere, really. But
that was his home, right? So
yeah. It's really it's kind of fun to look at this because we don't know. We won't know. He could go with anyone.
Yeah, and they have but like you said, what about the patience situation there? Because they're gonna have a brand new quarterback there with the Texans.
Yeah, I completely agree. But I think with like if you're trying to say that because of his patience, I think if you look at the Pittsburgh situation to what I think might happen with the Texans, it's kind of like they're really close to each other in similarity, and you get the edge of maybe Kenny Pickett being a better quarterback and having that already NFL experience and a top of the line defense too, right? And I would say probably, I don't know, it's tough.
Well, I'm just saying
But
the Steelers because they actually help their wide receivers get into a higher level. I mean, we've seen so many great wide receivers come from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and
George Pickens right now is like one of the ones that maybe we could see him being top of the line there.
And imagine, just for fantasy purposes, if you have Hopkins there and Pickens, like it's gonna open up for those two guys. And then you have also Najee Harris to, open it up a little bit for him instead of just cradling that box and just stopping Najee Harris, since they don't have too many wide receivers. That's just a big boost for that offense. That's one of the reasons I'm saying the Pittsburgh Steelers, because they need an upgrade on that in that offense with that big time division. Now that Lamar Jackson's back, you still have Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals there. You need some help.
I feel like the Chiefs need him more than the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, yeah.
All they have is
Oh, yeah.
Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
Sky Moore could be a player that just gets better next season. I know Tony was one that we're hoping for to get better. He was injured a lot of the time.
He got injured with the Chiefs.
I know. So
they need a number one guy there too.
They won a Super Bowl without one.
Yeah, I know, and that's what I'm saying. And then you look at it from Hopkins situations. If they won with no wide receivers, I'll just I'll send it even further.
They're gonna need one. They're gonna need one.
No, I disagree with you guys, because you guys are saying right now like they need one. I just saw a Super Bowl without them having.
They don't need one, but the opportunity is there.
It's not gonna work the second time.
There.
The coaches are gonna know that his main target is Kelce, and they're gonna try to eliminate Kelce. And
they've been doing that, and they are continuing to win. So of them needing it, I don't think so that they do really need it. I agree with you guys. Of course, putting Hopkins in that team is just going to make him way better, but they don't actually need it. We just saw evidence that they don't need it because they just won a Super Bowl instead of a team that it wasn't even close to get in there to get that upgrade.
They missed Tyreek Hill.
Of course.
They were better with Tyreek Hill.
Of course.
And they were set back without him. So in some ways, they kind of need something back to distract and give more versatility to that offense. If you're just trying to be the best
than a wide receiver.
No, I think the running back situation is not as desperate as, because it's Patrick Mahomes and they throw it a lot. And that's what really matters at the end of the day, is they need Patrick Mahomes to get it going, and he needs those weapons. So that's what I'm saying, is it's not like a desperation here, right? They're not. I don't think the Chiefs are gonna really go out of their way. But if this is what I'm saying, is he's 30 years old, and we could see him maybe I just want a Super Bowl ring and be with like a top 3 quarterback, and the defense is not terrible either.
No, I do agree with you guys that having Hopkins there is just gonna make them better. But I just thinking another team can benefit more of Hopkins, because I just saw the Chiefs win a Super Bowl. Their wide receivers were Scantling, Tony, and Sky Moore, and then the tight end Travis Kelce, and they won the Super Bowl. And that's with an injured Tony. So
I know, but this is what Hopkins wants. This is not what the team wants. This is what Hopkins wants. It's up to Hopkins.
No, okay, but is the Chiefs really going to be looking at him? I mean, if he's really flexible, yeah, of course. It's a win-win for both.
If they don't inquire about him, that's a dumb move by the Chiefs. If they don't go like, hey, how much money do you want? That's all they have to do. And if he goes, I need this amount, X amount. And if it's really, really big money, then they go, oh, I'm good. And that's it. End of story, right? That's where we start like thinking about, okay, this guy really wants a ring. I think he really wants a Super Bowl.
Well, remember,
I think he's willing to take a discount.
Remember, before we started this episode of the podcast, you advised that the cap is actually going to be increased very soon. And I'm seeing here it's about
June
a 20 million increase. So that's for every single team.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that there's enough money there for, I don't know who else they have to sign, right? But for Hopkins, that's enough. That should be enough. Yeah, that should be enough. I'm sure that he'll take an 8 million or 10 million bonus and maybe pay him at the end of the year, and then you can make some moves. Like, it can happen. You can work it out.
It was a 2-year deal with the Cardinals, and it was worth wasn't it worth 54 million?
Well, very well deserved, but I just
and
feel like
it was 27 a year. It was 27 million a year. So that's what he was making with the Cardinals. It's $27 million.
Maybe like
so
he said, that
do you
he's
think
flexible.
he'll sign for less?
Yeah, I do, because he's been saying that he's very flexible. Like, he's been yelling it out. That's why I'm super surprised that no team was able to make some type of trade, because he said he was very flexible.
Probably a lie.
Maybe, yeah, everybody has a different definition about flexible, right? Maybe it's not 24, maybe it's 22.
Right. It's like what Odell Beckham.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he was saying, no, I wasn't wanting 20 million, right? And he
accepted something for 18 or 19.
For 18 or 19, it's like 2-3 million difference. Like, dude, really?
All I know is that at the end of the day, we don't really know what team he's gonna go with, and it's there's not really talks of him being like, oh, this is my top 5 teams or top 3 teams. He's talked about some preferences in quarterbacks and who he thinks is like, the top 5 quarterbacks or whatever.
Well, we did talk about there was a video of him making some like facial expressions between what teams he would be interested in.
Yeah, it was the Kansas City Chiefs and the Bills.
And the Buffalo Bills, exactly.
Yeah, Bills. Because they have great quarterbacks, good defenses. And
I just don't know about the Buffalo Bills situation, because Stephon Diggs is still there, and
they need somebody else.
Let me just say that last year they weren't connecting that much because Josh Allen was injured. He had that elbow injury like lingering for like most of the season. So that's why he wasn't being able to have that connection like as crisp as we usually see.
Well, forget the whole connection part. Why constantly throw it? They need to focus on getting a running back before being signing D-Hop, so.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, James Cook supposedly is going to be the lead back for them. That is showed like promising. I didn't see it that much, even though I picked him up in fantasy. I didn't see too much of a promising from him last season. But according to training camp, like involuntary workouts, that's going to be their guy.
Isn't like the Vikings also putting up? There's like rumors of what's his name, Cook, Dalvin Cook being traded because they're looking at Alexander Madison being the starter.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, there was some rumors, but I mean, nothing brutal.
It was only rumors.
Yeah, that was only rumors, and that was like a couple months ago, but nothing.
There's been no talk since, but it's interesting to look into maybe. I mean, I wouldn't doubt if that was something that the Bills looked into.
Well, we'll see these types of, like the running back situation, maybe some trades happening once we start into training camp, because that's when players get injured, and that's when people, like teams, need to make some changes and just get some help.
Yeah, I wouldn't rule out Elliott maybe going there. Maybe not the best option, but it's interesting that they haven't picked him up yet. I don't know. Maybe he's asking for too much money.
I think Elliott is just a really good blocker, and despite of the last play that the Cowboys had in the playoffs, that was a horrible play. And short yardage. That's your guy for that. No more big time running, no more like elusive quickness, agility. Nah, just blocking and just short yardage. He's your guy.
Why don't we talk about Russell Wilson, Andy? I know he's your guy. There's a report that came out with a longtime teammate of Russell Wilson, linebacker KJ Wright, says that the Russell Wilson Broncos trade could go down as the biggest trade heist in NFL history. He also added that Wilson's legacy is on the line this season. What are your guys' thoughts about that?
Well, so far, it looks that way, right? By the way the season played out, the way he played, it seems like it's on its way to being one of the, like what this person just said, what's his name? It's the biggest heist in NFL. Yeah. It is. It's looking that way, and it all depends on how he looks next season, and I'm not feeling that promising that the old Russell Wilson will show up.
Well, for me, the biggest trade in NFL history was the Herschel Walker trade for the Dallas Cowboys when they traded him to the Vikings and they got all those picks and they were able to go to the Super Bowl. And because of it, they actually won, I believe, 3 Super Bowls. So I believe that's the biggest trade so far right now. Now, if the Seahawks actually go to the Super Bowl and win it based on those picks that they got, then okay, now we can compare. But in this situation, it's only one season that we've had Russell Wilson be a complete failure. If it happens again next season with Sean Payton as a head coach, then yeah, I don't know what happened there. I'm at a loss, and I'm shocked that just a player at that caliber that Russell Wilson was playing in Seattle just dropped off.
I think Ben DiNucci is running for his job. I think it's going to be tough for Wilson to really... There's a lot of pressure on him, obviously. There's going to be a lot of pressure on him this season, and we're going to find out, his legacy is kind of on the line here for this season because there's just so much riding on that. How are you going to have that big of a drop off from, what was it, 2-3 years ago being in Seattle?
Yeah.
2 years ago?
Yeah.
To this? To this? What he had this last season? We watched some of those games, and it was one of the, like, wow, man. I can't believe that was the same person as almost Super Bowl winning, Super Bowl winning Russell Wilson. 2-time, but couldn't because they passed it instead of running it. But
a situation that I do see here is in the last season that that Russell Wilson played for Seattle, it wasn't pretty good. So I don't know.
He was injured.
He was injured
with his finger.
But I just don't know if it had to do also something with another situation besides his finger, and it's just going down to a deeper slump. Now this is his chance. He does have a really good coach with Sean Payton. If he can't hack it here, then I'm sure he'll get another try somewhere else. But it is pretty worrisome.
It's becoming the
Carson
of the league.
He's going to be very depending on the coaching staff, because what does this say about the Seahawks coaching staff? Look what they did with Geno Smith. That says a lot. That last season was probably the worst thing that could have happened to Wilson, because the Seahawks looked great with what they had, and the Broncos were awful. They were just so awful. And they don't have a trash roster either, which is the craziest thing.
Right.
But it was a trash coaching staff. So maybe with Sean Payton, they can finally have some footing here and fix that situation and maybe get themselves into a competitive mindset here and possibly make a playoff run this season. But yes, if they don't make the playoffs, Russell Wilson is washed.
Well, we also made the comparison with, look what happened with Tom Brady last year. Even though that they won the division, and that sorry division, they did have a different coach with Todd Bowles, which we have seen Todd Bowles fail before, and it wasn't good at all. And we're talking about Tom Brady, the GOAT. So I think that Russell Wilson does have a good shot with Sean Payton to actually get to that high level.
Yeah, but see, I still think Tom Brady was playing at a high level with a bad coach.
Right, yeah.
And Russell Wilson was not. He was still playing the same level he was playing the last year with the Seahawks. Terrible. Just terrible. And he played terrible again with the Broncos his first year.
Well, now
same.
I'm with you. But and one of the things with Russell Wilson is that he is a running type of quarterback. If he doesn't use his legs, like, his talent goes away, and he was just sitting in the pocket. Now, why was he sitting in the pocket? Is that something that the coaches was telling him to do, or was that himself?
No, he has been sitting in the pocket even in Seattle his last 2 years. That's why his play has regressed. Though he has been bulking up. I don't know if you've seen his recent pictures. He looks bigger than he usually looks. Mm-hmm. So maybe he's bulking up his legs so he can start running again. I don't know. So I don't know. We might see him run this year, and if that does happen, we might be seeing this old Wilson that we're used to.
What were you saying, Aaron, about DiNucci? That he's trying to get that job?
No, that's a joke.
Well, yeah. Well, that's what I wanted to bring up. That Sean Payton actually told him that if he's going to be playing like that as a quarterback, that there's a job for him as a Walmart greeter.
Exactly.
Just because of Walmart.
A joke.
Yeah.
There's no way DiNucci is up for that job. Who? Oh, is there another backup? Because DiNucci's not the answer.
No, it's Jared. What's it?
Stidham?
Yeah, something like that.
Is it Stidham from Raiders?
Yeah.
Let me. I'm pulling it up.
Just close the tab.
I'm pulling it up. So according to ESPN, it's Jarrett Stidham. Yeah. So we have Russell Wilson. Second is Jarrett Stidham. Then we have Jarrett Guarantano, and then the fourth one is Ben DiNucci.
Yeah, it was just a joke. Okay, please.
But like you said,
the
Aaron,
only person who likes DiNucci is Mike McCarthy. So.
Well, he's not on that team anymore.
And the XFL, apparently, even though he didn't make the championship, but he got close. It was close.
Yeah, he got close.
He got close with the Seattle team, the Seattle Dragons, I believe. But yeah, like you said, Aaron, this roster is pretty much stacked. I mean, Javonte Williams is a really good running back. They still have Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton. I think Tim Patrick was a really good wide receiver, but unfortunately he got injured last year. So
did they draft first round this past?
I don't think so.
No, they did because of the trade with
Seattle.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Seattle picked their
Oh yeah, you're right. Oh,
and they got a really good pick, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's shift on over to a topic about a possible league expansion here. So PFT, Pro Football Talk, implies that the NFL could add 8 new teams in the coming years. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Possibly Europe too, by the way.
Yeah, PFT was saying that it is inevitable that at some point, either it's 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, at some point, an NFL owner advised that there could be an expansion in the division specifically for Europe, since the Europe fans keep growing. We saw last season that the German fan base is huge, and they just keep adding more and more games there, so that can happen. I think it's really interesting. It would be cool to kind of see some more fan base in Europe and more teams. It'll be really interesting, but I do feel really bad for the players. That would really affect games of the exhaustion of going from one country to the other constantly. It's too much.
Yeah, it's going to be, I mean, I would love it, first of all, but I can see it becoming, if they start adding more games, I can see it becoming kind of like the NBA, where the players just kind of sit out for, a little swollen knee, just to sit out a trash game that's not important. And I can see that happening in NFL.
They would have to increase that depth chart then.
Yeah, they would. They would have to, because that's just too many players.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. It's complicated because, okay, if you're looking at 8 teams, right?
That's two more divisions.
That's 2 more divisions, and that would mean that I think at least 2 cities are going to have 2 teams, right?
Yeah, they've been saying Chicago could be a team that gets another NFL team. They've been thinking about San Antonio as a good city for a big sports fan base. And I don't know, there could be other cities that can have some sports teams, Oklahoma could be one.
Maybe even Utah.
Maybe even Utah. Yep, exactly. So there is locations that the NFL could add here in the United States without question. The biggest question is that division that they would add in Europe, because I would think that would be a really big effect to players, especially have to keep flying back and forth and back and forth. They have to be, I don't know, it's pretty hard. You were saying, when we were talking about this before the podcast, you were saying, imagine the Seattle Seahawks flying all the way to Europe and all the way back.
It's just no. And then the only thing is that I'm kind of curious about, because okay, it's you think about it like this in the NFL perspective, but I don't know exactly how it works in soccer or football, how those teams maybe in whatever they do for I don't know. It's just so interesting to me because the fatigue is there, obviously, and you see this already in the league when they travel from Seattle to Philadelphia or Boston, something like that,
Right. I'm not 100% sure, when you're saying in the European soccer or football. I'm sorry, football. That in championships, I do see that they take sometimes a week off before they play again. It's not like basketball that it's this is when playoffs or in championships that you play in the next 2 days again. So it's still kind of similar to the NFL, that it's a whole week that they play. But again, it's a totally different sport. I hear you get hit, you get concussions. It takes more damage to the body than soccer or soccer/football.
I mean, that for me it was just I don't know. It's just the curiosity, because I don't know if there's real interest in European having European teams, then there's some kind of idea, or not idea, but some kind of maybe proof of it's possible to do that. Why are they even considering it in the first place? They gotta consider the players' health too in this.
I would have thought more Canada, honestly, before Europe, because Canada, I mean, we do have the Raptors.
Toronto's
up there.
a good place.
Yeah, Toronto.
The first thing.
Yeah, the NBA has the Raptors. We have in the hockey. We have also the Maple Leafs are up there. So why not in football?
Baseball.
We have a football team. Yeah, who's in baseball up there?
The Blue Jays.
The Toronto Blue Jays.
Toronto Blue Jays.
Or even Mexico. Don't they have Mexico games in Mexico City?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that could be one too.
I think it'd be easier to just put a team in Canada.
But that's just one, though.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. that's why it's
It makes
a
it
really
complicated.
conversation.
It's complicated. I don't see it happening. I really don't.
I think the NFL is just all about money, and
Yeah.
if money talks,
But
it
don't
can
the
happen.
players fight on?
Yeah,
on
the
that?
union.
Yeah, the union's gonna fight, and
Well, if you pay the players more, and if you
It
bring
might
in
change
more,
the story.
and you bring in more players to have more opportunity, healthcare, whatever, it can happen.
Now, what about, let's shift on over to New York Jets. Yams. There's reports that apparently the Jets and Quinnen Williams are close to an extension. Do you think it'll be worth it based on what you think he's going to get paid?
I think he is totally worth it. I don't know what the asking is, but I guess around 25 million would be maybe the right number for him
Per year or
per year.
Yeah.
Per year. And I mean, yeah, totally. They pay more for people outside coming in, so why not pay someone that's in house already?
Yeah, I agree. And Quinnen Williams is a huge part of that defense. So yeah, they have to pay that star tackle completely.
So it was a report that said apparently Williams is likely pushing for a multi-year deal with a base value of 25 million per season, or could even push for 30 million. So that's just kind of an idea.
Yeah, he's looking
think
to be
he's
one of the
totally worth
top
it.
defensive players that he wants to be paid, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and I think he's totally worth it. You can't let this guy go at all. And especially in the situation you're in right now, you're making a push for the Super Bowl.
Right.
This is not the time to mess things up. You got to lock this guy down and then worry about other things later, you know? You can always, if he's nice enough, you can always restructure contracts, right? That's always there.
Very normal.
So,
Right,
yes, very
right.
normal.
They'll make it happen. I know that they're restructuring Aaron Rodgers' contract. I don't know if they already achieved it, but that's the last thing I remember reading. So yeah, I think it's gonna happen. And that sounded really weird. The Jets are making a push for the Super Bowl. That's, the Jets and the Super Bowl in the same sentence.
Okay.
That's pretty
All
cool.
right.
That's pretty cool.
I think Robert Salah and Joe Douglas just wants to make a big time upgrade, and they're tired of all these losing seasons, and that's what's happening. Super
I
Bowl,
would be
it's
too.
kind of hardcore because you do have still Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. There's a lot of teams there.
But you have Aaron freaking Rodgers.
Yeah, that's really weird to say that.
And
Aaron
then
Rodgers is a
if
New
you
York
lock
Jets.
down for some crazy reason, if you lock down DeAndre Hopkins, it's over.
Oh my
it's over.
gosh! Imagine.
It's over. It's over. It's game over for everyone in the league.
Imagine if they get DeAndre Hopkins. He's like the new Devontae Adams for him.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That would be crazy because he would have that. That's crazy to be a quarterback and have 2 top 3 wide receivers in your career.
I don't know
That's crazy.
I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is the type to call a player just like Tom Brady calls players to
Right.
come over. I do think,
I think
if,
he might be.
I
I
do
He's
see
only
that,
calling
yeah.
his friends,
Yeah, from it. Well, I mean, Tom Brady did the same thing.
but his friends are good. Who'd he call? Randall Cobb? I mean,
Jeez,
Well, I
and
don't know
Lazard
about that.
too.
well, I mean,
Yeah.
Alan Lazard is
yeah,
is-
he's good.
is
He's fine. But
Yeah,
Randall
he's
Cobb,
good.
I'm not too on. Whatever.
But DeAndre Hopkins, though.
Man, that would be.
That would be great. I just
Huge.
I don't see it happening.
No, I think it's even somehow it would suck even more because then you have all this pressure because you have all this special talent. Now you could have the excuse of chemistry not working out in the first season if they don't make it all the way, right? But I think here the idea is within the 2-3 years mark that they're pushing for a Super Bowl. And after Rodgers is gone, who knows where we go from there? But it's not totally over for them, not at all. But let's do the last topic here, Andy. I'll shift on over to you and talk about the fantasy upgrade. What I guess our picks are on what player is gonna do better in fantasy compared to last season.
Yeah, so I mean, we got to get prepared for this fantasy football that's coming up.
Yeah.
June is happening this week, and then by the time you know it, it's August. Everybody's doing their draft, so let's start preparing for it. So there's a specific player that I do think that is going to be a big major upgrade from last season, and that is actually quarterback Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence did a huge upgrade last season, and he's just going to get better. Now he's going to be his second season with Doug Peterson as a head coach, and now he's going to have Calvin Ridley as a wide receiver. Also count Calvin Ridley as a big-time wide receiver for fantasy, and those two are going to give you some big-time points. Trevor Lawrence is not afraid of using his legs and his arm.
Is that it?
Well, I don't know if you guys want to chime in and say. I mean, do you guys disagree? I mean, that was pretty brutal there.
Well, no, I'm taking in the information. I think Trevor Lawrence. I do agree with that one. I really do agree with that one. I think he's going to be doing better this season, and it's only going to go up from there as long as everything around him doesn't crumble or it just stays together. Sorry. Man, and then so you said who was it? It was
Calvin
Trevor
Ridley.
Lawrence, Calvin Ridley.
Are you
Ooh,
kidding?
man.
Calvin Ridley is a big time wide receiver. He was getting
of
really
course
good.
It's an upgrade. He
Yeah.
he didn't do anything last season.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but he was suspended.
Who did they get in running back?
They still have Travis Etienne.
Oh,
That's
Yeah.
still their. That's still Trevor Lawrence's ex teammate from
Yeah.
Clemson, and I mean they still have Christian Kirk.
You don't think Tony Pollard would be an upgrade?
I
He's completely cleared. He's the clear number one. now.
yeah, of course he's gonna be an upgrade, but one of
And
the
they got a good tight end for blocking. I mean, I'm just saying.
No,
Right.
for sure. But one of the big when you're trying to look for like that type of key player that it just gives you those high points that you don't get these players you're not going to get Trevor Lawrence in the first or second or third or fourth round of the fantasy. So when you're going to pick Trevor Lawrence like later in the draft in the 5th, 6th, and 7th when you're looking
So
for
you're
a quarterback.
saying, like players that aren't likely to go early.
Yeah, exactly. Because I can mention like all the top fantasy players.
Right. Okay.
And of course they're going to give you points, but you're actually looking for players to actually give you points that nobody thought that they were going to give you as high points when you pick them up late. So Trevor Lawrence is a really good player and quarterback to get you those high points.
he did do better later on in the season. Same thing with the name just slipped my brain. Justin Fields. He scored up a lot of points in fantasy because he kept running around. And
Yeah, but just Trevor Lawrence is a little bit like Justin Fields, maybe not as fast and quick, but he can
But
throw.
Justin Fields is going to get more rushing yards than Trevor Lawrence and possibly more touchdowns on the ground rushing.
right.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, it could happen, but running quarterbacks just makes me nervous. When you're a running quarterback and that's all you can do, it's going to, at some point in the season, you're going to get hurt. And with Trevor Lawrence, you have best of both worlds. He can run and throw. That's why Cam Newton was a great fantasy quarterback. Russell Wilson was a good fantasy quarterback. These quarterbacks that can run and throw just gives you monster points.
You know what? I now that I'm thinking about it, I do agree with you. Trevor Lawrence in our draft, he did go pretty early, and he might go even earlier this year too. So, what you're saying, I'm probably not gonna snag him because people are gonna pick him up even earlier. It might be you. I doubt it. But there will be someone that picks him up earlier.
Yeah, I'm a fan of picking quarterbacks
maybe.
really late.
Maybe. Yeah, he'll be gone.
He'll
pretty
be
early.
gone. Yeah, I remember wanting him, and by the time I picked my quarterbacks, I got... Who did I get? But yeah, I got
'Cause
stuck.
you You got Patrick Mahomes, you got Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. I think those are pretty clear that they're like in the top 3.
Lamar
no
Jackson
question.
too, I'm thinking.
And then probably Lamar Jackson, and then right after that Joe Burrow. I think maybe.
Joe Burrow.
And then that's when you could see Trevor Lawrence in there, and then maybe Justin Herbert, and then Justin Fields. After that,
Justin
it's
Herbert.
all kind of just whatever.
Don't count away Dak Prescott. He is.
As long as he doesn't lead the league in interceptions, it's fine.
Yeah, and he's not an interception type of quarterback. Just last season, it wasn't a great season for him.
Now,
but he still uses his legs. He's a tough quarterback, and he still throws the ball. So
I would not be.
We're gonna see with Mike McCarthy now that Kellen Moore is gone. This whole, it was kind of like this anti-run offensive scheme here that they had going.
I will not
Who
be
knows?
drafting Dak Prescott.
Weren't you the
I don't
one
think
that
he's a
drafted
terrible
him?
option.
Didn't
I'm
you
not-
draft him?
I
last
think
I'm
he'll
not-
have a better
I'm not the
season.
one that drafted
He's gonna
him.
have a better season this season.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know either because Mike McCarthy's quarterbacks has been Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. This is the first time that he has a type of like Dak Prescott, and if he's gonna be,
He's
How
the one
can it
calling
be
the
worse
shots
than
now,
last year?
right?
I'm sorry.
How can it be worse than last year?
Because Dak Prescott was very used to Kellen Moore's playbook and terminology. And now who's calling the shots? Who's the offensive?
It's Mike McCarthy. He's going to be calling all the plays now.
Yeah, I don't feel too comfortable with that. When that happens, only my experience with the Jets is when the head coach takes over as the offensive caller. It's because the ship is failing. It's sinking, and they're trying to raise it up. But the last option is okay. The head coach is going to be calling the offensive shots.
I agree with you.
It always ends up being
Not
more
well.
on the negative side. And a fantasy perspective, Dak Prescott didn't do great, but he didn't do.
It was such a pass-heavy offense, though. It was so favorable for him.
Well, remember that Mike McCarthy was the play caller also in Green Bay. So he does have experience doing that. I do agree with you that when the head coach is like, I'm going to take the reins and be calling the plays, is that he wants to fix things. And it's like his last hurrah. Like, if I'm going down with the ship, I'm going to go down it my way. Exactly. So, but what makes me just a little bit more comfortable with Mike McCarthy is that he does have experience calling plays. He has been having terrible time management, so that also makes me a little bit worried that he's going to be doing the play calls and time management. Maybe he can't handle both.
He was already terrible with time management when he had less responsibility. Now he's going to have more responsibility. Maybe it's just like a rhythm or preference thing to where if he has more control, he feels more comfortable. Or it's just it won't be a good situation because now he has more pressure because he's in control more. But it seems like it's a comfort type of thing here that we're seeing from their offense. So yeah, but I think if he doesn't, it's because that's what I'm saying. I don't know. It's hard for me to Prescott to see him have a worse season this season when his worst season was this past year.
Yeah, I really don't have any expectations for the Cowboys this season.
Okay, well, I mean, this is not fantasy related at all, but if talking about that, if they don't go to the NFC Championship, he's gone. Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott, they're both gone.
I don't know about Dak Prescott.
He's gone.
I think Mike McCarthy
They're both
first.
gone.
They're both gone. There's no way. Like,
okay, and then how do you replace
longer? Prescott has been there longer.
Yeah, I get you, but
come on, no.
Okay, and then who do you get to replace Dak Prescott?
I don't care. It's literally at this point you just have to move on.
Russell Wilson.
You're not gonna throw money down the drain when it's not gonna work. You know it's not gonna work.
Funny. Russell Wilson will be up for grabs next year, so
yeah, that guy's gonna be expensive too, unless I don't know. Unless he's washed and then he knows he's washed and he's just gonna be cheap.
Yeah, who's going to want to trade?
Dalton.
Yeah, who's going to be wanting to trade for Russell Wilson if he's so expensive? Like, after 2 seasons with the Denver Broncos, they're still going to owe him tons of money still. So,
what is it, 4 or 5 years? How long is his contract?
I'm not sure.
I think it's 4 years,
yeah,
but
we're just guessing there.
But if we're talking about the Dak Prescott situation, knowing the Cowboys, they'll probably keep Dak Prescott one more year after they let go of the head coach. But they will be drafting a quarterback pretty early. And it could be your next quarterback, and he might be on those way out the door. So I give Dak Prescott 1 or 2 years.
The only way I see the
contract until 2028.
Jeez, man. So and this was his first season. So that's 6 years.
Wait, but
the only way I see Dak Prescott leaving is if the Cowboys just big time tank it this season, and they're like top 5 or to get a quarterback. Then maybe, because there are 2 really good quarterbacks that are coming out of college. From USC and from Carolina.
7 years. That's crazy.
Jeez, man. So, yeah, trading Russell Wilson, I don't think that's...
No, that contract was almost just as bad as a trade.
So maybe
maybe
KJ Wright is right.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he seems to be right on the money.
I think Russell Wilson knew he fleeced the Broncos.
Gained weight at the same time.
But I don't think he's that type of player that just doesn't care and it's all about money. I don't think that's the type of player.
No. He's faking it.
But you don't.
He's faking
you don't think he's? How's he gonna let? I don't know. 7 years.
No, yeah. I mean, if
7 years and his age right now, he definitely knows his prime's almost over.
If his talent is gone, I mean, that's not his fault. Like, they just paid for him, and I mean, if he's gonna say, "Hey guys, no, don't pay me. Like, I'm almost washed up," no, that's not gonna happen. He's still gonna take it.
No, yeah, I know, and he knows that. That's what I'm saying. He knows that he's gonna be washed soon, but he's still okay with the 7 years.
Yeah, he's laughing to the bank.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Broncos were like, okay, that's what I'm saying. I think that's just as dumb as the trade, if not probably worse.
I could see Geno Smith going to the Cowboys.
I think you're just playing around now.
I think that's enough.
Wow. Okay. Did you not see what he did with Seattle? Okay.
Yeah, but that's with Pete Carroll.
That's with Pete Carroll. That's a respectable
I'm telling you,
head
I
coach.
just gave the great example of look what happens when Russell Wilson leaves. He has his worst season ever. And here we have Seattle Seahawks with Geno Smith going to the playoffs.
Yeah, doesn't that say
Crazy.
more about Geno Smith than Russell Wilson?
No, it
with
said-
the same head coach.
No,
because
no,
Geno
no.
Smith has been going on from team to team to team to team to
Yeah.
team, and now he got a really good head coach with Pete Carroll, and now he did really well.
Geno Smith was Geno Smith that he is right now. He would still be with the Jets.
No, the Jets were always... Geno
Come
Smith
on.
was drafted
They
by
stuck
Rex
with Mark
Ryan.
Sanchez. He was good, right?
Yes, but
Geno Smith, I think, is better than what Mark Sanchez was with the Jets, maybe. At least from what I saw this season. It's not enough.
I don't know. Yeah, no, they went to 2 AFC championships
with Mark Sanchez, and he got drafted by Rex Ryan, and the ship was already sinking at that time, so he had to draft.
But they had a great defense.
An amazing defense.
They had a great
down.
defense, right? So imagine Seattle with a great defense.
And it looks like it's getting there.
Yeah. Well, it's good stuff. But I think we're just rambling on here. You guys don't have anything else?
No, I think we just kind of ranted too long. We were out for 2 weeks, so we just had a lot of football build up in this, and now we did a whole bunch of.
We're getting there. So I think we'll see probably Hopkins sign somewhere in mid-June or something like that. What else? Jimmy Garoppolo, I think he'll get his physical pass, no biggie, whatever. What happens in the season, that's another thing. What else? Yeah, Russell Wilson, I think, might be washed. He might be done. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So thank you guys for listening to the very end. We appreciate you guys, and we'd love to see you guys joining us in our comment section, giving your opinion with us on our social media, which is Football Tailgaters on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Football_Tailgaters. Thank you guys again for listening. We'll see you guys on the next episode.